everybody to Abu Dhabi, the fantastic Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last of the year and the conclusion to the World Championship of Formula One 2021. And of course, Abu Dhabi, the very famous place for their massive salt mines near me, near Abu Dhabi, in which have been updated, been untapped until today. Fantastic salt mines in Abu Dhabi. I'm not surprised. And what's the reason? The reason is Abu Dhabi has some massive cheating refereeing pricks this time of year. Not that I'm bitter or disappointed at all, but there are some massive refereeing cheating pricks in Abu Dhabi at the moment. Probably living it up, the life of Riley. Still, there we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome Linus to the chat. Welcome Elvis. And welcome Heretic. Thank you very much for coming over. Savage Minnow, great to see you. Time to get funky. Yes, it is. There's a huge dumpster fire there in Abu Dhabi. That's incredible. That's incredible. And welcome, and welcome, Peter. Thank you very much for being here. No, we can't hear you, Peter, because you're muted. But hey,
I said, how am I here? It's not my time yet.
I don't know. It's not your time. I'm surprised to see you. All I can say is that dumpster fire in the background. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. It was a rather amazing race, I have to say. I call it a race because it was a race of two halves, very much like a football game. And like a football game, there's some massive refereeing, cheating pricks in it. But anyway, we'll get to that. I'm just gonna try and contain myself a little bit at the beginning of this. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna do the race review first, and then we'll get through everything. Okay, so the race started. Lewis on pole, Max on second. Lewis got a great start into the first. Oh, it was the other way around. First corner first. So well done to Lewis. Max, his tyres probably not warmed up quite enough because he was a bit loose in the first corner. Still, nonetheless, as I say, Lewis got away to a great start, and that's what we were to expect, really, from the rest of the race, because it just so happens that Lewis was in magnificent form this one particular day. He literally tried to drive away. Unfortunately, the two straights down the first on the first lap, Max decided to make a huge lunge into corner 4, and of course, as usual, make contact with Lewis Hamilton, who went off track and decided just to put his foot down, keep it in there, come back on track, and he had an even bigger advantage. This, of course, was the first of many controversial moments in the race. Was Max lunging too much? Possibly so. Did Lewis gain a lasting advantage by driving off track? Almost certainly. I think these two things cancelled each other out in the refereeing's mind, and unfortunately, no action was taken, although that was probably the first of a bad decision. Lap 14, Max decides to pit because he was on the soft tyres, which we'll talk about that later as well. Max decided to pit lap 14 because he was on the soft tyres. Lap 15, Lewis responds, comes in, and gets out ahead of Max Verstappen, having already built up a 4-second lead. Red Bull doing great work. Hamilton then Perez stays out in order to hold up Lewis Hamilton. Perez does his job, unlike Bottas would have done, but he does his job and manages to hold Lewis up by a good 8 seconds or so. And in fact, during this period of Lewis trying to get by Perez, Max Verstappen manages to catch up to within about a second or so, second and a half behind Lewis. So again, fantastic driving by the pair of Red Bulls. Perez really on song and managed to do his second driver job for Max Verstappen. Unfortunately, Lewis did manage to get by Perez on the next lap, and having done so, he then pulled away again from Max Verstappen to build up another huge gap. So what can we say there? yeah, basically then it was down to Verstappen to pit on lap 54 when the Latifi went into the wall in turn 14, somewhere around there. Yellow flag came out. A safety car came out to clean up the bits. Max Verstappen, of course, takes advantage because he's the second car, pulls into the pits, puts the soft tyres on, and now it's just a matter of finding out whether or not the safety car, whether they can clean the car away in time and do all the stuff they need to do before the end of the race. And in fact, it turned out to be that they could get everything done before the end of the race. And in fact, there was one lap to go. And of course, this then meant Lewis Hamilton was on used hard tyres, extremely used hard tyres, whereas Max Verstappen was on unused soft tyres. And this was a slam dunk then for the Red Bull to overtake Lewis Hamilton on the last lap and for Max Verstappen to take the World Championship. A little bit of a sad way for it to happen, but nonetheless, that's what happens in racing sometimes, and that's what the result turned out to be. Max Verstappen becoming the 2021 World Champion. And as we can see, Latifi is a great guy, Bubble Evers says. I'm just going to call him Elvis just to piss him off in this one. Latifi is a great guy. Sure, I understand there'll be a lot of controversial issues. But there you go. So that was the result, really. Mercedes, of course, protesting because there were some irregularities with the protocols. However, it turns out that the massive refereeing cheating prick called the race director has last say in exactly the protocols that are used, and it seemed to be that he followed all of he dotted the I's and crossed the T's in order to make it a legal race. It's just a bit disappointing for me personally, obviously being a Lewis Hamilton supporter. One thing I will say is that although it's not over yet, because there are still legal challenges, etc., it does seem to me a pretty close and shut case that in fact Max Verstappen is world championship. So we'll just go to the results quickly for that race, if we may, Peter. We'll go to the results. Of course, the race winner, Max Verstappen, a new world champion, first time world champion, 2020-2021 world champion. Max Verstappen, second place, Lewis Hamilton. Magnanimous in his defeat, I have to say. Shows the class of the man. Third place, of course, was Carlos Sainz, a great drive. Yuki Tsunoda, also a good drive. Fifth place, Pierre Gasly. Bottas, disappointing sixth, but what can you say? That's his last race for Mercedes. Lando Norris in seventh place. A good drive, although disappointing again, considering he had third place on the grid. Fernando Alonso, a great comeback. Showed he is a class driver yet again. Eighth place, ninth place even. Ocon following up his teammate well. Leclerc, disappointing, but had problems during the race. Notice these laps, 66 seconds behind. That's just crazy. Vettel in the 11th, Ricciardo 12th. Not much to say about that, really. What can you say? Looking forward to a better car next year. 13th, Stroll. 14th, Mick Schumacher. A good result for him, but only because in 15th place, Sergio Perez, who didn't finish. I didn't see that. I wasn't watching that. Perez didn't finish. What happened to Perez? Can't remember what happened to Perez. We'll talk about that. That's a DNF for Perez and Latifi. DNF obviously causing the safety car, which caused all the controversy. 17th DNF for Giovinazzi, who was also in the wall at one point, or actually whose engine ran out or something like that, and pulled over to the side of the track. George Russell, a DNF as well in 20th place. He was out early. So there we go. 19th place, in fact, was Kimi Raikkonen. Disappointing for his last ever race in Formula One. And Mazepin didn't even start because he had COVID. He actually had COVID, managed to do half of the sessions and then get COVID in some incredible way. But there you go. So that was that. Before you come in, I'm just going to go through a couple of the chat stuff here. Hello to Heretic. Hello, mate. Good to see you here for the first time in a long time. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you, new viewer. Linus, thank you. Almbraten. I don't know how you pronounce that, but excuse my French. Oh, no, it's English. Sorry, excuse my English. Thank you. Looking forward to a good show. I'm glad to have you here. Heretic Geo Sam, hello mate. How you doing? Good to have you here. Oh, we got this guy again. Whoever this is, just if we can like hide these things, guys, and get rid of them and delete them, I'd really appreciate that. Integrity, the speed of the safeguards. Yeah, we're going to get to all of that pretty soon. Savage, thank you very much, Savage Minnow, for being here. Pablo Elvis, Perez, yes, we'll get to that as well. And Lucky Wolf, thank you for coming by. Okay, that's basically the race review. Thank you so much. Sorry it was a bit quick, but I might be a bit pissed. Don't know. Might have had too much to drink today. Don't really know. Fabio, over the fuck to you.
It was a very interesting weekend. The track changes. Yeah, I mean the track changes. You know, there was some
track changes.
There was some, you know, discussions whether the new track changes would have advantage Mercedes or Red Bull. At the end of it, I think that it wasn't that much of a difference. I think that the biggest difference was made by Mercedes like 2 or 3 races ago, when they took the only risk of the season. They changed the engine in Lewis' car in projection of this specific last race, because they knew that that was probably not a very favorable track for them, so they wanted to regain the advantage, you know, a small advantage on the straights. So that was the only risk that Mercedes took. And I mean, you know, the Red Bull tried. They had to get to a compromise, specifically with Verstappen car. They tried a really low downforce car. I mean, this is usually a medium downforce circuit. But they went for a low downforce, you know, to try to regain, you know, the speed advantage on the straight. And it was really funny to see that, you know, during the race, Perez's car at times was actually faster than Max's car, or on par with Max's car. So that either means that so that basically means that they pulled all their cards in the fact that Max was ahead. So they basically tried to make a car which was extremely difficult to overtake once it's in front. But overall, it wasn't faster than the original car. Actually, at times was slower. So they tried to cover their bases in that way. Again, you know, I think that was a brilliant strategy from Red Bull. And they showed, you know, some really interesting strategy through all the races. I mean, if you think about, they retired Perez's car at the end of it they said for reliability issues. They think there was something wrong, and what they really didn't want to is to have another safety car, you know, in the last lap or whatever. So they just retired the car. That was, you know, super brilliant. They managed to get the car inside and the race, you know, with the red tires, not knowing exactly what was going to happen, you know, at the time, but still they went for it. Of course, that wasn't really an option for Lewis, because again, thanking to the very good strategy of Red Bull, when they basically put Perez in front of him and basically made him lose something like 5 or 6, 7 seconds, which, by the way, that was a key moment of the race, because those I think it was 6 seconds that Lewis lost were the seconds that did not allow him to change the tires when the safety car dropped in. They didn't have enough time to change the tires and get back in front again. So again, you know, it was I think it was a team victory for Red Bull. They played the cards, you know, as they did. They their plan went back from the beginning because the old scenario for them was that Max had to be ahead in at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because Max did a very poor start, and that was really interesting. And I think the reason why he did a really poor start was a mistake that Max made. Max engaged the first gear something about 1 minute before the start, so his clutch was open for about 1 minute. The moment he got in, he got in first gear and started the racing procedure. Usually that happens something like 20 seconds before, which is what Lewis did. Now, from a technical point of view, that was really interesting because, again, we don't have enough data to say that, but it's not unreasonable to think that having the clutch open for so long, well, first of all, it's outside the normal parameters. And what might have happened is that it might have changed the engage point of the clutch. So that might be one of the reasons why Max's start was so poor. He was using to a biting point at the moment. The clutch was open for, way more than it used to be. So that I think was the main reason why, the start from Max was really poor. And other than that, excellent race from Carlos Sainz, which at the end he managed to also overtake Charles Leclerc in the championship. He made more points than Charles. He got fifth, the first of the humans. That was, I think, it was a very spectacular, result for him overall in the season. He was the best driver among the ones which changed the team to have that big of a result. All the other ones just fade. From Ricciardo to
Yeah.
And,
we were at the beginning of the season where it certainly seemed anybody that stayed in the team had a huge advantage. So.
Yeah. So
although I have to feel Leclerc has kind of let the side down since halfway through.
Leclerc had a really difficult season, but I think that if there was a season where he had to find some difficulties, I think it's a good one. That was this one. I think it's gonna grow him a little bit better. He showed that he was still faster in qualifying as he usually is, but the difference wasn't that massive with Sainz.
Eventually.
Yeah, and he got beaten at the points by Carlos. Even on the podiums, I think Carlos made 4 podiums and Charles did 1. So I think that will help him, during this, pause to refocus himself. And everybody's gonna start with a new car. So I think that was a good thing. As far as the season goes, and as far as how the race went, I didn't expect nothing less. I think what happened last race was basically what has happened during the whole year. And while everybody never complained when decisions went to their side, once you get into that kind of mechanism, it's a lottery, and this time the lottery favored Max, which. But again, personally, I don't really care too much what has happened. To me, Max. The result of the race is the result of the race. Max won the championship. That is gonna. This is one going to be in the books. The first name is the one which counts, and the reasons why in 2 or 3 years nobody will really care. But some salty people, which it doesn't really matter. It's I think again that was I wasn't expecting anything different from a season like that, and again if there is somebody to blame, I think that the team manager has to be blamed first of all, Toto Wolff has to be blamed, and Horner has to be blamed. These people, they try to interfere, in every way, shape, or form. They found a good territory in trying to interfere, and sometimes it went well, sometimes it went bad, and they never thought about, the extreme consequences that, the thing might get really bad for them in one way or the other. So, you know what, as I said, last time, I have absolutely no sympathy for them. So if things didn't went the way it went, or they feel that they've been cheated out of it, because, again, what happened was weird. It was insane. But it wasn't insane if you look at the whole season. Again, it wasn't madder than, something which has happened before. So I don't know why anybody would have expected that, the last race of the season, where everybody is pair on points, nothing stupid might have happened by the race direction of the guys. It worked for them during the season, and now they have to make them work, for them anyway. So I'm not even particularly mad with Masi, to be totally fair. The old situation. The old situation was exploited, multiple ways, and now, I mean,
it wasn't exploited. I mean, everything.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, everything the teams did was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I get that. Right. The only thing there's two things I'm fucking pissed about, really. Firstly, a strategy call under the first virtual safety car of Mercedes not to bring Lewis in. That's what I would have done. I would have put Lewis on fresh tyres and put him up behind Verstappen. And then everything would have been different. Then the whole fucking thing would have been different. And that's a strategy error by Mercedes to leave Lewis out for 44 laps on one set of tyres, even if they can make it that far. Not thinking that there could be a yellow flag, right? It's just crazy. 44 laps driving around Abu Dhabi without a red flag, without a yellow flag, is without a safety car, is nuts. So they weren't thinking straight. So that was the mistake, I think, or that lost Lewis the world championship. The rest was all like by the book, right? You get a yellow.
Yeah,
obviously, hang on. You get a yellow. Obviously, the second car is going to pit. He is going to put fresh tyres on. If it's a safety car, he is going to be up behind and he's going to have the advantage. That's all fair enough. All right? So that's the first thing I'm pissed off at Mercedes. They lost the championship in that moment, as far as I'm concerned.
You remember what we said last week, right? I mean, we said that one of the biggest advantages for Max was the fact that he has a team with strategies, while Mercedes sucks. They suck at it. It has been shown time and time again.
Sure.
There was a moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, and then let's.
I had another point I'm trying to get to, Richard.
Yeah, no, but very quick. There was a moment during the race where Bono asked Lewis if they had to change the tire. Is it okay the yellow or is it okay the red? I mean, this is not the way it's supposed to be doing. The engineer should tell him, listen, our decision is these tires. Do you have something against it? You don't put the onus on the driver while he's driving the race. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Okay. So as I say, that's my first complaint. Really, is that Mercedes lost the championship right there by not pitting Lewis, thinking that there might be a potential of another safety car, when clearly there was, even if it meant leaving Max out on his tyres for 44 laps, because I still think even under the circumstances with the faster car, they're still going to be able to overtake Max. So if there isn't a safety car, they win. If there is a safety car, they still got a good chance of winning. So that's Mercedes losing the championship. What I'm pissed off about, and I'm really pissed off with Masi, is that in the last race, right, he was very quick, even when putting out a safety car, he was very quick to stop the race in order to be able to get extra laps racing. And yet this time, right, when it's such a crucial moment, he's not prepared to stop the race. And and here's why I think it matters. Not because that was necessarily what would have been done by normal circumstances, because I don't think normal circumstances are applying this season. A, because it's Massey, right? And he doesn't seem to have a consistent way of talking about, the way things should be done, because certainly they weren't done properly and according to protocol in this particular instance. He wanted to have the last lap racing, or at least have a car cross the line under green flag conditions to win the championship. Now, he could have done that just by red flagging and having a standing start, right, for the last 5 laps. Right, that could have been done quite easily. There's a precedent for it. He did it last race, right, and he could have done it this race. So that's disappointing. That he should have known, as far as I'm concerned, that under the circumstances, the second car was always going to pit, and that meant if there was another racing lap, the second car was always going to win. And the reason why I say second car is because Lewis won 95% of that race. Now, I know it's crossing the line that makes the difference, right? 100%,
yeah.
Right? But why not just follow protocol and go, okay, look, if Lewis had crossed the line under safety car, he would have won the championship. Fair enough. But what would have been Christian Horner's response to that? Well, they just had a faster car today. They deserved the championship because they had a faster car. Right now, we've got the situation where Mercedes are saying, well, Max won the championship because of a refereeing decision. Because the referees decided for political gain. Hang on. The referee decided for political gain, right, to have the last lap raced, right, because they didn't want to finish the race behind a safety car. Now, is that, which way round are we doing this, right? Are we doing it because we want racing, or are we doing it because we want to make the FIA look good and Formula One look good, right? Now, I just don't get it.
I mean, listen,
I'm not saying. And let me just finish up then.
Yeah.
Let me just finish up. I'm not saying that Mercedes didn't lose the championship, right? I am saying that, right? They made a tactical error under the virtual safety car not to pit Lewis. And that is a tactical error as far as I'm concerned. And so that's what put Lewis in the position where he couldn't defend against Max Verstappen. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, they lost the championship still. Maybe it wouldn't have gone that way, but it would have been a fair fight, as opposed to what we got, which was a refereeing decision to give the championship to Max. Okay, I finished. Go ahead.
They can say whatever the hell they want. I mean, that was the result of the
I
race.
can say what I want.
Oh yeah. No, but you said Mercedes. People's gonna say, "Oh, Max has won because politically." I mean, people can say whatever the fuck they want.
Well, it's true.
No, it's. I mean, that doesn't make them true. I mean, the only thing which
it is true though.
Well, listen, the only thing which is true is that one is a world champion and the other one isn't. That's it. That's the only thing which is true.
That's not what we're talking about.
The fact...
I didn't dispute that. I didn't dispute that.
The fact that somebody, again, the other thing is somebody won 95% of the race, again, that doesn't count for anything. The only thing which counts is whoever gets in front at the checkered flag. 2008 Brazil, the guy, there was a guy which was world champion for 20 seconds, and then he didn't. So was he the world champion for 20 seconds? No, fuck no, he wasn't. Because at the end of the race, he wasn't. So that's it. It doesn't make one little bit of a difference.
Yeah, but you didn't listen to what I said.
Listen.
You didn't listen to what I said, because that wasn't my criticism. My criticism wasn't Max shouldn't be world champion.
No, but...
My criticism was Max was made world champion by the refereeing decision.
And this again is wrong, because nobody made him anything. He got it. He was driving a car. He got in front of it. He won the race. He has more points. He is the world champion. Period.
No, that's not correct.
Listen. Everything which has happened, and I will not get in. I mean, this show I will not get into anything about the FIA decisions, because I'm not interested. I don't care. I said, whatever he had to say in all the previous episodes. So this one, I don't give a flying. I mean, what happened yesterday was exactly what I said was going to happen through all the season. It happened. I mean, if Toto Wolff or or anybody else doesn't like it, tough shit. That's what has happened. But I'll tell you one other way why Mercedes lost the championship. And Mercedes lost the championship about 7 or 8 months ago, for the same reason why you lost your bet, because you were right, and I told you time and time again, you were right. They should have put Russell in as a second drive. They didn't, because Mercedes, they are as stubborn as a mule. They have this idea that to them every championship is like invading Poland, and if Poland suddenly is not there, they lose the war, because they put everything in there. And this is the idiotic way the Mercedes has been doing things over and over and over and over again. There is no way around it. They should have, and one of the reasons why he lost the championship is because Lewis was racing alone. I disagree with you with the fact they should have pitted him, because they could not have pitted him, because he had not enough time. He would have found himself with Max ahead anyway, and that would not have worked, because Lewis had to pass Max, and the moment that Max sees Lewis is going to pull an 89 or 90 thing, Prost, Senna, they all go out, and he wins the championship anyway. So they didn't want to put Lewis into that position.
I know.
So and the reason why he was in that position was because Lewis was racing alone, which was something that Max wasn't. Max, Red Bull was racing with 2 cars, and Lewis was racing alone. And Mercedes have only got them to blame. So there it is.
Yeah, no, I disagree with most of that. Most of that is just bypassing the point, as far as I'm concerned.
The old season was made like that. I mean, there were 2 packages. The Lewis and Mercedes package, and the Max and Red Bull package. And at the end of it, the Max and Red Bull package was better. And I'll tell you, I mean, because I think that Mercedes car was better than the Red Bull. I think that this season Max drove better than Lewis. It was way better, because he had to drive over his car way more than Lewis had to drive over his car. What made the difference was the team. And you remember what we said, last episode about Ferrari. I was really happy, that they made no improvements on the car and getting the result that they decided to be. And apparently they did that only by remanaging the old team again. Having a proper team is a super powerful weapon. Mercedes failed in establishing that, because they had so much confidence in the technical aspect of the whole thing, and they found themselves into that situation.
Yeah.
So
okay. Again, I can fundamentally disagree with just about most of what you said there. There's a surprise. There is a surprise. We disagree. But okay, we won't go over all of that again. So, I mean, again, I'm not disputing that Max is a worthy world champion. He certainly has driven extremely well, if very aggressively. And there's no fault in driving aggressively, going back to 89, which is what this reminds me of, where the world championship was given to somebody by the stewards rather than it actually fought out on the circuit. And that's fine. We've had precedent for this. This is Formula One. It's not a sport in that sense, where you expect it to be fair. What has disappointed me about the referee and the refereeing is that even if we were just consistent with the last race, which was a week ago, okay, we could have had a couple of laps of ding-dong fighting between Max and Lewis. And I still think possibly Max would have won, right? But again, because this Massey fucking refereeing Chip Brick doesn't want to make these kind of calls. He doesn't want to see Lewis and Max go side by side, because he knows what will happen, and he's already fucked up in the season by being inconsistent with the refereeing decisions that he's made. And then, of course, the easiest solution is to do exactly as he did, right? And that's what I'm pissed off about. Massey taking an easy way out, basically, so he doesn't have to make what is a most difficult decision. And but at the same time, bending to Formula One by saying we don't want to finish the season on a yellow a safety car crossing the line. So I think those are the two things which made Massey decide what he wanted to do and the way he wanted to do it. Like I was saying, when I first saw it, I went, "Oh, this is going to be close. Are they going to be able to clear it up? Yes, they are. Obviously, will they be able to unlap the cars? No, they definitely will not." Right, and so he found a halfway house, which is just letting the cars in between the top two pass, right? And that just seems wrong to me as well. So on a whole number of levels, right, the protocols have been broken, and I understand why they've been broken. Again, Max is a worthy champion, right? Because it's not just about one race. It's not just about this one incident, and I concur with you on that. It's about the whole season. And over the whole season, Max has driven phenomenally well, at least to the same standard as Lewis. And unlike you, I don't think Mercedes have had the better car. I think it's been back and forth depending on circuits. The cars have been pretty much the same all the season, except for a few improvements that Honda have made during the second half, and that's forced Mercedes to come out fighting and basically turn their engines up. So anyway, I do think that it's just it is a shame that we're that we're having to deal with a disappointing end. Let's just say that to it. But whatever, we could have had a great end if he'd red flagged after the first safety car lap. We could have had an incredibly close and exciting end to it. And I would have been okay with that. I think Max would have won, but I would have been okay with it. This way, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it because Lewis was clearly the faster driver. He deserved the win on that circuit on that day, given none of the history, right? None of the history. And so, therefore, because I think the protocols weren't observed for, as I say, political reasons with the FIA, that's the reason I'm calling foul on it. Not because this is the way it goes. You get you get safety cars, and they've got to come in sometime, etc. No, they're never in the history is there any precedent for what happened yesterday under a safety car happening the way it happened, and it only happened in that particular way because of the situation of the World Championship and being the very last race, which I don't think is right at all. So it's not to do with just like, oh well, that's it, that's how it goes. Formula One is like this. We've had a lot of bad decisions. This is just another bad decision. So away you go. Yes, I certainly agree with that. And it certainly is a bad decision. I'm just annoyed that they didn't do what they did last race, whereas pulled a red flag, had a standing start for the last 4 laps. That would have been incredible. That would have been absolutely incredible. And that's a missed opportunity if ever there was one, as far as I'm concerned. And it would have been fair for both sides, like I'm saying. But anyway, Max is Formula One champion for 2021. I know Mercedes are going to appeal it still, but they are. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to just go through a few. What was the word? A few comments, all right? I know you're typing away, so I'll just go through them quickly.
No, it's. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I said what I had to say once. You don't agree twice, so yeah. Fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you didn't address the issue that I was saying. You just said, "Yeah, okay, I get it." In fact, you disagreed with the first part of my summation, which is fair enough.
I address the things that I think that worth me addressing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, you say I disagreed with you. I didn't. I agree with you that Max is the world champion. I just disagree with you that it's that what happened under the safety car is normal. It's not normal.
I haven't said that it's normal. I think that that what happened was exactly what it was expected to be happening, given what has happened during the season. So I
Yes.
mean, I understand people is pissed. I get it. But, people should have been pissed, from the beginning of the season. And now some people are pissed at the end of it only because of the result.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying, because, if it went the other way around, people would be pissed because of what happened in Silverstone and in Budapest. So, I mean, it was the old season which was fucked up. So eventually somebody had to get pissed because of one of the fuck-ups which have happened all together consistently during the season. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so it's about time I dye my hair, apparently, according to Heretic. Irregularities with the speed of the safety car. There were last race, but I don't think there were any this race. Is that right? Max was complaining again, but I don't think there were.
I mean, everybody was complaining because they were really nervous, and I think Lewis was complaining because he had our tires at the time, and he was afraid that he couldn't eat them up, well enough. So yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear Lewis complaining. I did hear Max, but fair enough.
I think
if you heard Lewis complaining, no, it was Max that complained.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It apparently another one from here. It prevents Lewis from retiring though, as there's no way he'll retire without having another go at it. Surely. Fabio?
Sorry, what would you say? I just
said it prevents this result prevents Lewis from retiring, as there's no way he'll retire without having another go, presumably trying to get his 8th title.
I mean, I don't think that. Again, the guy has already won 7 titles and has got plenty of money in the bank. So I think that if he decides to retire, I mean, it is not as hungry, as it is. So if he retires, which I don't think is going to happen anyway, it will not be because of that.
Okay. Poor little Pierre Gasly, presumably. No, who got 5th place? Not Pierre. Perez.
Gasly.
No,
Yeah.
Oh, it was Gasly, was it?
Gasly. Yeah. Gasly.
Oh, okay. Got 5th place. Well done. you paid more attention than I did, Savage, but better than fucking Bottas. Yeah, exactly. As Fabio said, we actually wish they had swapped Bottas for Russell, because Bottas, since the mid-season, has been shite. And there you go. There was never a doubt that he was shite in the first place, to be fair. Okay, that's great. So let's just moving on here. Oh my God, I went down too far.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying #fucking Bottas, but actually, what Simos really meant was #fuck Dr. Wolf, because he didn't switch the driver when he was.
Yeah. Perez pitted during the safety car. Sorry, I have clicked on it, but it's not doing it.
Yeah, he pitted during the safety car, and then I think that they had some data, something weird, But basically, the reason why they're retiring was that they didn't want to risk anything, having another safety car at the end or stuff like that. So, and again,
So I'm just reading comments now. Perez was called into the booth for a defective car. Yes, that's right. Beverlis, that's fine. He never came back out, so that explains they retired his car.
No. He changed the tires. He made one lap, and then they called him back in.
And then they called him back in again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Massive inspelled to make the start. Yes, he had COVID. Good evening. Hello. Right, Fabio. Will, here we go. Heretic. Question from Heretic. I haven't read it yet, so it's probably rubbish. Oh, there we go. Will Alfa Romeo get better over the next few years, or not enough money in comparison with Mercedes and Red Bull?
Well, we talked about it, last time, and again, even this race, they are. I mean, Sauber. I'm refusing to call them Alfa Romeo this time. I mean, Sauber is a they're fuck ups, and it's a fucking mystery to me. And the reason why I say I'm a fuck up is that they had 2 drivers. By the way, the great Kimi Raikkonen, which was voted driver of the day yesterday for obvious reasons. Sauber only had one fucking job, to give a car to both of them to be able to finish the fucking race. One, was going to retire, and the other one they sacked. They had only one fucking job: give a car to those guys so that they can finish the race. The brakes on Kimi's car, broke down, and something else happened to Giovinazzi's car. So fuck those guys. As far as I know, they still have the only thing that they have is the sponsorship with Alfa. The relationship with Ferrari has gone super cold, so I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do next year. Apparently they have the money, because they refused the offer from Andretti this year. So, but what they're gonna do, fuck me if I know. I mean, I couldn't care less about those fucking Swiss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. So, first of the humans laugh out loud.
Yeah. I mean, about first of the guys with a human car. It wasn't either a Red Bull or a Mercedes. So yeah.
When it comes down to it, it seems like Hamilton was the better driver, and it was taken from him at the last. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about better driver. They seem pretty even to me. Certainly more consistent driver. Max Verstappen had a couple of races where his head dropped a little, but they seem to just on par with each other, a class above the rest of the field. And very, very much, I would say, nothing to tell between the two of them. It just depended on whose car suited which circuit, which just goes to show how close they really are matched, those two. That's my opinion.
I mean,
Fabio?
My brief response is that there is only one tool which can decide who is a better driver than anybody else, and it's the stopwatch. Whoever gets first is the better driver. And I know it sucks, but that's the reality of things.
Sure. Okay. If Hamilton had gone for tyres, he would have ended up behind Verstappen. Yeah, I know he certainly would have done. But the point being is that he would have been on fresher tyres, and to say or to think that there wouldn't have, and he only would have been behind Verstappen if Verstappen hadn't have pitted. That's the mistake they didn't take into account. Right, and if he hadn't have pitted, right, then they're basically saying we can get past him anyway because we have a faster car, which already had been shown in that race. And secondly, they would have had fresher tyres, so they easily would have got past, as far as I'm concerned, and down the straight probably. So I'm just disappointed that's why I think Mercedes made the mistake right there under the virtual safety car. And yes, they would have, even if they'd ended up behind him, I think that still would have been a stronger position for Lewis, and would have covered the fact that if there was a happening before the end of the race, that would have put Lewis in a better position. So I think they would have won both ways there, and they didn't cover that off. So
Mercedes was
a mistake.
Mercedes was scared about two things, and I can't honestly really blame them. The first thing they were scared of is that the race would have ended with the safety car. So if Lewis pitted and Max didn't, it would have been the other way around. The race ends with the safety car and Max wins the championship. So they were afraid of that scenario. The other scenario they were afraid of
that's in the second pit stop. I'm talking about the first pit stop.
Oh yeah,
the virtual safety car.
Okay, yeah, but that is just because they thought they had such a better car that they didn't need to pit. So I mean it's Mercedes. But
I think they did need to pit.
Listen, I'm not saying they shouldn't or they shouldn't. I'm just saying it's Mercedes. So it is, again, it's consistent with the way of reasoning. We got the Uber car. It's the Uber mentioned car. You see the times. Fuck it. That is going to happen. I mean, fuck me if I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, okay. Calm down. Put me back full screen, please. Good grief. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Was it a good decision? Oh, hang on. Yeah, here we go. We got another one. Let's just get through it. Was it a good decision for Lewis to come in first for the tire change so early? I was surprised by that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean they tried the undercut, and it was reasonable at the time. They already saw that Lewis could
But was it
go.
reasonable for Lewis to respond to that?
Say what? Sorry.
The question is, was it a good decision for Lewis to come in for the first tire change so early after Verstappen pitted?
I mean, yeah, they had to cover Verstappen. They knew that, and they also knew that with the harder tires they were faster than the Red Bull, so it was all in their advantage to actually cover what Max was doing.
Okay. If Hamilton would have lost the lead, Verstappen would have pushed him off in the track whenever he tried to overtake. He couldn't let his guard down for a second. Yeah, that was the point that Fabio made, Savage Minnow. So yeah, you were quite correct to say that. Verstappen, okay, is going to. Hang on a second. Let me just put this up. Verstappen is going to bring in more money than another year of Hamilton as champ. Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, the same money's coming in for Lewis regardless, and I think Verstappen and having a close championship and a new champion will bring in more money for the FIA, not for the FIA, for Liberty Media, almost certainly. So I think it is a good result for the sport overall. But that's, of course, not really what I'm concerned about in that respect. I don't suppose there's anything to disagree with there, is there, Fabio?
I mean, but I don't really think that those teams, they need that more money.
Not the teams, it's the sport, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, the sport.
Yeah. Okay, why did they allow only the cars between Hamilton and Max to unlap themselves?
Fuck me if I know. I mean, the rationale that they gave was to not to interfere with the championship. Apparently
interfere with the championship.
Apparently, it's something that they can do. I mean, this is what has been decided, but
yeah, they did it in order to get the safety car off the road so they could finish the race under the green flag.
So the short version is that we can say on why did allow only cars, because the race direction decided so.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it's not. The reason is they didn't want to have the cars cross the finish line under a safety car. So that's why they decided only to let those cars by. And they wanted to try and put Max and Lewis on the same track together so they could race for one lap, because they thought that might be more dramatic. Although, obviously, it's not of anybody that knows Formula One. Somebody's going to... Why the let's go there? There we go. Geo Sam, I love this. Have an unofficial race between Hamilton and Verstappen. Oh, they really want to spend more time with each other than they have this year. So, no, that's not going to happen, obviously. But good idea. Don't forget to tap the like using pedal cars. Lucky Wolford says using pedal cars would be a good way to decide the championship. Quite possibly. Red flag was the only... hang on. David Scargill. Thank you, David, for turning up. Good to see you. Red flag was the only answer where both had an opportunity to have fresh tyres. Exactly, yeah, that would have been my preference as well. Bearing in mind that that's what they did in Saudi Arabia twice. I don't see why they couldn't have done it here. Although, again, that's not normal procedure. So, but then they didn't follow normal procedure anyway, so what can you say? Okay. Unofficial RC race, GSS. Yeah, well, Lewis would definitely win that, because he is a radio control race car genius, as it goes. Verstappen fought hard this season. He earned the championships. Yeah, I agree completely. Verstappen fought hard this season. He earned the championship. That's how I looked at it. Fabio?
It's, whoever makes more points earns the championship. So that happens to Max. Max the championship. It's plain and simple, and it's hard. I mean, I understand it's hard. It's hard to to sometimes to grasp, because we sometimes it seems unfair or not. I mean, motorsport is one of the most fair sports that there is. If you get in front, you win. That's it. There is no way around it.
That's what you're calling fair. Notice his definition of fair is not saying if you get in front by having a good sportsmanship or whatever.
Whoever finishes first.
Whoever it is, doesn't matter how they do it. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
No. It doesn't matter how it happens.
Yeah.
Not how they do it. It doesn't matter how it happens.
Yeah. I get you. I understand. I'm making the same point. Mm-hmm. That's what you're calling fair. And I have a different opinion of what fair is, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay. 3 rounds, no hold barred. No, Gio, they're never going to do that. And Hamilton didn't. Poor logic. No, I don't care about that. I don't know what you're referring to exactly. Let me just look back. Verstappen fought harm. No, he didn't. I think he did. I mean, Verstappen fought fucking hard this year. I don't think I've ever seen a racer since Senna and Prost really fight that hard.
Yeah.
I just can't recall anybody. I mean, no, actually, no. When I think about it, Montoya fought hard against Schumacher one year.
Yeah. Jacques too. It was a very tough
and Jacques,
race.
yeah. In fact, most people that beat Schumacher had to fight fucking hard.
Yeah.
to be fair about it. Yeah. Although, I mean, they didn't fight over the limit by pushing like Max has a couple of times this year. But he's been held to account for that through the rules, so that doesn't matter particularly. Okay, are we blaming Bottas? Do we think we can blame it on him as to why Lewis didn't win the championship?
I said before, I'm not saying I'm blaming Bottas, because, to be totally fair, Mercedes is more to blame, even for the Bottas situation. I'm just saying that Bottas didn't help. So.
Okay. Yep, fair enough. Okay, and this is nice. Bubble Evers has gone back that, yes, David, you do have a point. You definitely do have a point as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, there we are. That's just that. Hashtag blame Bottas. Okay. We know who said that. Okay. Lucky says, why was there a sudden change from no one gets to pass the safety car to only the cars between Hamilton and Verstappen get to pass? This was a decision made by Michael Massey. It is within his remit to do this, mainly because the cars are supposed to pass. He later explained it because he wanted to put Lewis and Max on the same part of the circuit at the same time, in order to give them a one-lap shootout. I'm just dumbfounded that he would say something so stupid as that, considering Max was on fresh tyres, the softest fresh tyres, and Lewis was on the oldest hard tyres. So it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. But that was what he said. So that's what he said. I don't know. Sorry, what's this? Heretic saying something. Is Fabio wearing Max's helmet?
It was referring about my headphones. It thought that it was the I can't remember what's the name of the
hands device.
Yeah, the hands device.
Yeah. Okay, so I won't go through all of that. Oh no, it's headphones. David Scargill, roll out loud. Verstappen eats too much meat for my liking. Oh God. Yeah. That's the funniest comment so far. Thank you, David. Typical hurt Man U, something or another. Where we got? Yeah. Hamilton
by the way,
was complaining about the speed.
That is exactly.
Hang on. Hamilton was complaining about the speed of the safety car. Apparently, I missed that. So thank you.
No, I was saying about the comment about Max eating too much meat. Actually, that is one of the reasons why Lewis' dog likes Max more than Lewis. So there is that.
Yeah. Okay. They're kind of having a little set forth. Max would have done what Lewis would have done. What Max did. Yeah. I mean, through much of it, he would have done, but in the last, I don't think he would have done. In the last, but anyway, there you go. What about only letting 4 or 5 lap cars through instead of all of them? Yeah, it's within Michael Massey's remit to be able to do that. And as I said, he did it so they could race the last lap. So that's why he only let the first 3 through, because there's no way letting any more through. They would have been able to race the next lap.
I'm sorry. One of the things, because and I know it wasn't you, but sometimes I hear that reasoning, and sometimes it seems to be, and again, it isn't what you said. You never said that, but it seems to be the message. Oh yeah, Max had red tires, fresh. So Max didn't have fresh tires by chance, right? So they got it. It was deliberate. It was, again, as I said, it was a team effort. It was mostly because of what parents did. So Max didn't found himself in a position of having fresh tires just because some fresh tires magically appeared. It was by skill of the team overall that he was able to do that.
Right.
And actually what happened, is that they put fresh tires before the safety car jumped in, and he was trying to get time on Lewis. So
yeah, they didn't put them on before. The safety car came out, then he went in. Then he went in.
He put the fresh tires on the virtual safety car first, and then he was trying to get on Lewis.
Sure.
And then he changed it again, when the safety car jumped in.
Right. Okay, I'm getting confused about which ones you're referring to, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the second car. I mean, it's easy choice. It's not skill to do that. It's the obvious choice. So I don't think there's anything skillful about it in the terms of they made a gamble. Hang on. I don't think they were gambling at all. It was a certain cast iron. Hello, there's a safety car out. We'll stick some reds on.
I was talking about the skill of the team.
Iron.
I was talking about the skill of the team.
It's the obvious choice.
No, sorry. The skill of the team was the fact that Perez was able to make Lewis lose 10 seconds, 6 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was the skill of the team. Lewis did not have that chance because it was taken away by the team. And Max was able to do that. Because if the Perez thing never happened,
potentially,
it would have been pointless, for Max to change the tires on the virtual safety car.
Yeah,
he might have changed later, but yeah.
Potentially, it's still close, right? I mean, it's still close because he only lost 6 seconds or so, and he was 17 seconds ahead, so that's 23 seconds. And Max was on fresher rubber after that, so he would have closed the gap slightly before the end of the race anyway. So I still don't think he would have had time to come in and get out ahead of Max.
No, probably
That's
not.
my personal opinion.
Probably not, but they had to try something, and they tried, and then at the end of it, there was a proper safety car on it, and they played.
Sure.
It turns out that they were right.
Yeah.
As it happens a lot of times. I mean, people take gambles. They gamble something, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
And for them, it went well. So
yeah, it did. Yes. There's no doubt it went well for them. That's right. It should have been all the cars passing, and that is the protocol. And it should have been all the cars, but Massey wanted to have the cars race on the last lap, so therefore he decided not to let all the cars through. And there is a provision in the regulations for him to do that, so it's not illegal at all. What about only letting 4 or 5 cars through instead of all of them? I think yes, so we've just done that one. Mercedes didn't reckon on lapping cars getting taken out. Yeah, I think they probably didn't. I mean, again, they have no choice, right? They can't pit. Being the first car through, they cannot pit in that situation, as Fabio said. So they really had no choice, but they couldn't. Their hands were tied, and just like Max's hands, well, he may as well pit because there's nothing to lose. He can't lose any places, so he may as well get fresh rubber on. And if they end up behind the safety car, well, that's how that goes. But if they don't, then it's a certain pass for the win. So there's no gambling there either.
Yeah, I mean, Sweaty was really adamant that wasn't going to happen. So yeah.
Who wasn't Sweaty?
Yeah, Toto Wolff.
Toto Wolff. Oh right, Sweaty.
Yeah.
It was a fix. No, I don't think it was a fix. Still, again, I think Mercedes lost it under the virtual safety car by not pitting, thinking or knowing that there might be some kind of safety car or problem later on in the race. I think that was an issue, and that they should have trusted Lewis to get past Max. Even if Max has stayed out, or especially if Max has stayed out, they could have easily got past him, because clearly his tyres were wearing quicker than the Mercedes. So I think that that was a critical mistake. And then
Mercedes never trust the drivers; they always trust the car.
Sure.
There was something really interesting. I think it was said on Thursday on the press conference with Horner and Toto Wolff. I don't know if it was there, but there was something interesting said this weekend. They asked, I don't know, to Horner or Marco, what is your best weapon to get, and they said we have Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember ever Toto Wolff saying, yeah, we have Lewis Hamilton as a weapon, because, for Mercedes, the weapon is the car.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I think it's been that way, although this year...
Yeah, it's a mindset. It's totally different.
I'm not so certain. Okay. Sorry, David, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by this, but not to interfere with the championship, which one constructor is still mathematically available for RB2? Yeah, I mean, interfere, right? This is the problem that we're kind of getting to. Interfering is a bit of a loose term there, and I don't think it was. I genuinely don't think it was fixed. I think if Lewis had won that race, by crossing the line first, there would have been no, Red Bull wouldn't be complaining. I don't think anybody would be complaining. The way it happened is unfortunate for sure. And again, I think for me personally, it's about what's the word? It's about it's about these, like Fabio said, it's about the inconsistent refereeing, stewarding decisions that have been made this year. And again, this just goes to another. I think if I was sitting, when it first happened, when that safety car came out, I literally sat there and thought, even if, right, they get this cleaned up pretty damn quick, it's going to be close. Now, they did get it cleaned up extremely quick, right? And I thought, oh, okay, as the laps went by, no, they haven't got it cleaned up quick enough. Therefore, it's going to end under a safety car. Unfortunately, Michael Massey made a decision that they wanted to finish the race under a green flag. And so they made it happen. Right now, if Toto had had that information, undoubtedly, right, then they would have pitted Lewis as well, right? So there you go. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. I think if we'd had consistent decisions made, if these things had happened before with Massey, and we know that he's going to do something like this, then maybe Toto would have gambled a little more with it. But as it was, to all intents and purposes, it looked to me like they didn't have time to clean up the mess and get the cars straightened out. So there you go. Okay, well, almost there, Peter. Almost there. Possibility. I was expecting Lewis's last one here. He says, oh no, there we go. Clean that. Sorry. I was expecting Lewis's tyres to blow out in the last lap, like the previous British driver. Yeah, that was Lewis. One of his. It's Silverstone, wasn't it, in the last year? But yeah, fair enough. Yeah. This circuit's a little easier on the tyres, and they actually did some grinding. They ground some of the curbs down because they were a little a little rough on the tyres, so they deliberately grinded some curbs down.
They also told Lewis to stay away from the curbs in turn 16 and something. There was Norris at a slow puncture, so that is not a really far-fetched hypothesis. Everybody was running really light on their threads at the end.
The race director made an early decision that the lap cars would not go through, and then they changed the decision at the very last moment. It certainly seemed that way, Heretic, didn't it? It certainly seemed that way. I think Red Bull probably got onto Massey and complained about the cars in between, if I'm honest about it. And so they made a section, and they just put up a quick one saying 3 cars can overtake. And it wasn't all the cars can overtake like they normally do. And that's the normal message that comes up. This time the message was very specific. The 3 cars in between Lewis and Verstappen could overtake. So they had obviously thought about it. And again, this is in the purview of the race director, that cheating referee and prick Messi, to make his decision. Only the cars in between. So yep, but only the cars in between. Get Bernie back. I've just got to put that up because that is a classic comment. Thank you very much, Lucky Seven Wolfing.
Just let me say one thing. 10 seconds, and then we call Peter in. I'm not saying that because of what happened yesterday, okay? But we have to remember, and me and you, we do remember that, Simos. If we look at it historically, F1 has always been a clusterfuck. And I'm not even referring to Bernie. I was thinking more about Jean-Marie Balestre, okay? Historically, F1 has made rules on the spot always. So true. There is also another thing that I want to address, and again, I'm sorry about the fact that I'm addressing after yesterday's race. A lot of the rules that are in the rule book, which is written really bad, by the way, it is insanely badly written. The problem is that when you have to deal with safety, it is really, 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 really difficult to put all the proper rules on the paper. So eventually, you will always have some kind of leeway. Somebody has to make a decision on the spot because you cannot predict the unpredictable. That doesn't work by definition. So again, that doesn't excuse what happened yesterday. What I'm saying is that that is a problem which is endemic in the system. If you have a situation where things are dangerous and you have to take decisions about safety, that eventually, some fuck ups are going to happen anyway, because you have to put.
Let me just write a message in.
Hold on a second, we are black again. We're back in black. And now there is only Peter. There you go.
Hopefully we'll be back soon. We're back. Oh, sound is back. Apparently, audio is on. Peter. No,
yeah,
we haven't. We can't hear you.
And we don't see.
Apparently,
us.
people can hear us.
Okay,
we're back, and we're back at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Hello. Peter's a bit salty this week because we didn't find him any prostitutes in Saudi Arabia, other than 2 camels and a young boy.
Camels. Yeah,
so,
that's what I meant. So
yeah,
should be okay.
So Peter's a little bit salty.
Well, he had camels and plenty of goats. I don't know what his
I don't know what his problem is. Okay, good. I'm glad we're back. Are you there, Peter? Can you come in or not? Or is it all? It's all gone to shit, is it? No, you're still muted, mate. No, you're muted.
Yeah, you're pointing.
There's no good pointing at the dumpster fire.
Yeah. No, you're still muted.
It's the other microphone. No? Oh, okay. Well, have a rant. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the show. Thank you so much, Peter, for everything. I think we should give him just a short while to try. Oh, he's here.
It is.
Okay, now people should be able to hear me. I have no clue what happened. Suddenly, OBS gave up and decided to go to a whole different scene collection that we're no longer using. So, now, for some stupid reason,
fucking OBS,
my microphone isn't working. So, no clue what the hell there is going on there. But let me try one more thing. See whether or not I can fix the sound.
Yeah, it's working in YouTube, so you're good to go here. Let's move on with the show. 2 camels in the Netherlands. We call that a party, says Robert.
Okay. It's still not working. No clue why. Okay, so we'll have to do with the poor microphone. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you find the race?
I was pissed off. And I'm still pissed
off.
I'm still pissed off. So, the decisions that were made at the end just reek of interfering with the race, as far as I'm concerned. Michael Masi went on radio, and that was everyone could hear that the cars wouldn't unlap. And then you could hear Horner crying that wasn't fair and they had to unlap the cars. And then he decides to only have a few cars on lap, which isn't strictly in the rules. But had he let everyone pass, then he wouldn't have time to get the safety car back in, which he, according to the rules, wasn't able to anyway, because the safety car would have come in on the next lap after the cars had passed. So to me, there were too many changes made in order to make this happen. And if you look at what came out today, we had Norris saying that the decision was made purely for TV entertainment. And coming from the drivers themselves, none of them were really happy with the decision that was made. And another thing is, they made a decision to have 2 cars race, but there were other people in the race as well who would have liked to have the opportunity to race that last lap. And they didn't get that opportunity because the lap cars that were still there. So I don't think it's a fair decision. If you want to make a decision, you have to make a decision that is equal for all cars, and that didn't happen. And so collected a few screens, so I'll go there. And first of all, obviously, that was the theme of the race. You have that as a thumbnail as well. What I wanted to point out, however, is I think this picture pretty much sums it up. Someone was incredibly heartbroken. He did all he could to get ahead and secure the position, and then didn't get it. What I found even more catching is this happened immediately after the race. And if we remember last race, that happened. So, did the better driver win? I don't think so. And another thing was that I saw Lewis's dad congratulating Max and Jos, which also wouldn't have happened had it been the other way around. I can assure you that Jos would never have done that. Yeah, in the media, I think no one was happy. We saw this from Silverstone Circuit, a class act until the very end. I got a tweet from Damon Hill. A lot of not very happy people and a lot of very happy people. This is a new way of running the sport where the race director can make these ad hoc decisions. It's been a bit too guess what I'm going to do now, I think. Which
yeah.
I mean, if you make a decision as a race director to not have the cars on lap, it doesn't matter who's going to call. That is your decision, and you should stick with it. And if you then let one of the team principals interfere with your decision, then you are not the race director, the team principal is, which is a thing that I very much object to.
Sure.
Okay, well, go to this one. This summed up what I thought, and that's why I picked it. There was a thin line between sport and sports entertainment. Verstappen is a deserving champion, but he didn't win it. He was chosen, and that's my opinion as well. Both worked really hard to get there this season. I think both deserved the championship. I have no doubts about that. But yeah, the way this was done, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I do want to tease our good friend Fabio a little bit because he said all about the points and who crosses the line first. I mean, I remember Felipe. Fernando's faster than you. It's not always about the points. It's also the decisions that are made. And I think even though for the teams it can be more important, I find it unfair towards the drivers. They should let drivers race, and if the second guy in the team wins, then the second guy in the team wins.
Yeah.
But that's
no team orders again. But we've been through that, and it is problematic. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's move on so we can get the full three of us going.
Okay. Well, this is as it stands now. They've lodged notice of intention to appeal the decision of the stewards. So I guess we'll have to go wait and see what happens. And so if I had to sum up the entire season, I would do it with this tiny graphic. I'll let that speak for itself.
Thank you.
So
Marzipan, fastest lap. It's been a very up and down season, a crazy season at that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, I'm not, disputing what you're saying at all. Very powerful words as far as I'm concerned. You make good points there, and you're right. Massey did say at one point the cars weren't going to go past because he was desperately trying to get the last lap raced, and then when he worked out presumably after intervention by the
Yeah,
team
we could all
principals.
hear that. All of that
Yeah,
went out live.
I grant you.
So
But then he worked out he could do it before the safety car peeled in, so he chose to do it that way.
after
And
Horner asked him not to do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get you. And you know that's how it goes. But I think we have addressed it, so I'm not going to say anything on that. That's fair enough. Again, powerful words. I think, and it gives them a chance. Unfortunately, under Article 15 of the rules, the race director gets to decide when the safety car comes in, regardless of any other decisions that have been made.
I agree, but
So,
my biggest problem is that he made a decision and then came back on his decision, and that he shouldn't have done. The moment he sends that out on air, that this is my decision, then stick with it and not change
I
it.
I agree.
5 to 10 seconds later. It's
Okay, another question here then. Just quickly, we'll go through that from Heredic. Have I not got? I don't think I've got control, but it says, is there a chance someone higher up in F1 other than the race director had a word in his ear? Sky TV, ? Not Sky, obviously, instead of the team principals. I don't think there is, no.
no.
Massey is the race director, and really there isn't much time. It is literally conversations between the principals and Michael Massey that made these decisions. And we've been complaining about that for how many races now? I can't remember. I mean,
it just
about
shows
a quarter of the way into this season, Michael Massey started making really dodgy.
It shows he's not up to the task. As far as I'm concerned, if you look at the whole season and then with this ending, Massey's not up to the task, and he should be replaced. And Ross Brawn has put in that he wants a rule change that the team principals can no longer contact the race director. It's a move in the right direction, but I don't think that that's going to solve anything. They need someone there who can actually make the decisions and stand behind them, and that is not what has been happening this season. And worst part was this last race.
Yeah, I think they need someone with a much more experience in the sport, personally, to do that job, rather than somebody who's new into it and is feeling their way through it and trying to make decisions based upon political concerns. I just think that's ridiculous. And like they said, Charlie Whiting was, he virtually wrote the rule book, so there was no chance that he could get caught out by a rule later on. And the rules were written especially to give Charlie Whiting all the power to be able to decide these things.
But that also addresses a point, because if you have someone like Charlie Whiting and he's not going to be there forever, what you need to do is you need to prep someone the moment Charlie Whiting is no longer available, that particular person can take over. And that's also a thing that they don't do. Maybe there's no room for it, maybe there's no money for it, but it is something that I think just should happen. You should have someone there with
in
the experience.
In hindsight, I think maybe they should have had somebody start, shadowing Whitehead when he knew he was going to be retiring, rather than just leaving everything with him, so they could have learnt the rules in a more benign environment, rather than throwing him in at the deep end. And I think, as we discussed last time, I think it was you that said Michael Massey is a marketing director.
That was
He's
Fabio.
not a referee, it was Fabio.
Yeah, it was Fabio.
So what else do we expect, really? To be honest, Peter, is there any chance that the crash of Latifi was to guarantee Hamilton win?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, there we go. Okay, and thank you everyone for voting. I'm going to close the poll. I'm going to end the poll there. And just to say, the question was, it should come up. Don't know why it hasn't come up. Anyway, it will come up. In the poll, there it is. Is Max's F1 champ a fair result? no 62%. Yabu sucks, Fabio. Yabu sucks, Fabio. And yes, 37% agree with Fabio. Only 37%. So
Well,
there we go.
and I think that reflects a little bit on what I've seen on social media, even from Max Verstappen fans who said this. It would have been
Yeah.
better if the one who actually won in a fair fight, and that didn't happen. And even Max came out today saying that he could understand how Lewis felt after what happened. So
Yeah. No, I mean that's very nice of him. I think in hindsight, it's easy to say something like that. And it's not
it
really Max's
is,
nature.
it
He's been
is, but
told to say that, and that's fair enough. And again, I have to. I mean, we're going to end soon, and I definitely want Fabio to comment on one last thing here, which is I completely agree with you that it's the person that makes the most points that wins the title, and Max is deserving of that because he's done an outstanding job this year. So please don't take what I've been saying as any kind of slight, of course, against Max. I think that, like exactly as you said, I want to agree with you wholeheartedly. We've had dodgy decisions for most of the year, and this is no different. So I would say to all Lewis fans out there, just revel in the fact that Lewis was very magnanimous in defeat. And as Peter pointed out, it wouldn't have been the same the other way around. And that's good for us because that means next year he's going to be even more determined. And one thing you have to fear is Lewis being determined in the off season because that means he's going to be training like a bugger. So I think we're going to, if anything, this result actually guarantees us a really exciting result next year. And of course, this next year we've got Russell in the Mercedes. So I think it will be two drivers against two drivers. So I think it's going to
but
be extremely exciting.
we also get completely new cars.
Indeed, we do.
So
Indeed, we do.
that might change things up a little bit too. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm really excited
We're
to see
hoping.
what happens.
Nelson PK as race director. I can't put your comments up anymore, unfortunately, because they're not working. My thing's not working anymore. But Nelson PK for race director, Lucky says. I wouldn't mind that because Nelson was a hell of a driver and certainly had a lot of experience. But it's about knowing the FIA rules, not just being a driver, unfortunately, and knowing how these things work out. Fabio, what would you like to say? Last words?
No, I'm nothing to say. I mean, I just heard a lot of gossip, so I'm not interested into that. That is exactly.
Some of what Peter said wasn't gossip. He was correct about Massey saying the cars are not going to be let past, and then changing his mind and saying 3 cars were going to be let past. So that's not gossip. That's fact.
Most of what Peter said is exactly the reason why I don't follow football. Motorsport. So, I mean, everybody can have his own opinion. I mean, fuck it. The thing which stands is that motorsport is different. If you get ahead, you win. If you don't, you lose. That's simple. There are rules and regulations. If something bad has been done, there are tribunals. They can appeal to the CAS in Lausanne. They can go all the way up, and they can try to overturn the thing if something which is wrong has happened. Was it bad? Yeah, of course it was bad. Is it the result? Yes, it is the result. That's all there is. Anything else, I don't care. I'm not interested. I don't care if people think that that Lewis should have won. Lewis didn't win. So
no, I agree. I agree with you on that.
That is motorsport. Mm-hmm. You can have the best car, and your tire explodes at the first corner. Is it fair? Yes, because fuck you. That's why. Because those are the races.
Because there's no such thing as fair.
Well,
it's not fair. Fair doesn't come into it.
No, let me set one thing straight. I do agree with you that the results are the results, and that is what you get. If the teams are going to appeal, obviously they've got the opportunity to do that. 9 out of 10 times we've seen it doesn't get you anywhere because nothing happens. But yeah, Max won.
Yeah.
Did he deserve to win? Yes.
Yes.
And so with all of that, I agree. I'm just pissed off that we've got a race director who's obviously not up for the job. If you have a sport like Formula One, you need to have a professional up there who makes the decisions, sticks to it, and sticks up for it no matter what, and is consistent. And that is not
The
what
reason
we have right
the
now.
reason why we have a race director like this is because we've had this race director the old season. It was fine for the old season, and now at the end of the season, oh, no, it's a
No,
bummer.
that's
Is
not-
is
no,
an
that's
idiot.
not
No,
true.
no,
Come on
no,
now,
no.
that's not
Sam, sorry, I'm not talking. I remember what we said, and I get it. You know, I'm talking in general. I'm talking about all these, Twitterverse, all these people. If you really want to find somebody to blame for this situation, you got to look to Toto Wolff, you got to look to Horner, you got to look to Lewis, and you got to look to Max, because they are the people which build this environment. That is the result of what they built. And of course, at the end of it, somebody would have been disappointed. They didn't. Nobody thought it was them. They thought it was the other guy. So
Yeah. I don't think so. I think if that race had finished under a safety car, Christian Horner would have said, well, they were just faster than us today. They had a faster car. That's how that goes. And yeah, we're disappointed, but
Yeah.
what can you say? They had a faster car. This
problem
way,
is
no, we can't say that the faster car was the best car. We can't say that the person that
sorry.
did
No,
best
but-
in the race won.
What-
All we can say is due to
I'm sorry, Simos, but-
no, hang on. All we can say is due to a safety car protocol, okay, which the race director decided on the spot and has never been done before. Then the results was changed around and Max was chosen.
But
That's why
Fabio,
we're saying that.
Simos,
Now, that's
sorry,
fair.
sorry.
No.
We're-
Let me. I got to finish my rant first. That is totally fair by your definition of fair. All right. I'm just saying that isn't my definition of fair.
Okay, let me
Okay?
steal man. Let me steal man.
Sorry,
let
no,
me steal
I-
man.
I
my,
just want-
Fabio.
I just want to ask a question. Where does it says that the fastest car and the fastest driver are the one which have to win?
It doesn't say that, Fabio. But
There you
if
go.
you're in a race where somebody has led the majority of the laps, okay,
No,
and
no.
let me finish. They've led the majority of the laps. They've got a faster car, okay, and then the positions are reversed due to a decision by the race director on the last lap. That's a problem. Okay, that's all I'm
listen,
saying. Only because the protocol for the safety car was circumvented in order to have that last lap as a racing lap.
Okay,
And
but
I'm just saying
That's
that
it.
the only
That's
thing.
all I'm saying. Is
Listen.
that fair? Yeah, I mean it's the rules. Okay, that's okay. So if it's in the rules and you call that fair, that's fine. Is there a precedent for doing it that way? No, there isn't. That was a decision made on the spot and made under great duress, as Peter pointed out very accurately.
yeah, but hold on.
Not only,
Fabio
not
did
only
have a
did they
point.
say that, they also reversed their decision halfway through that safety car.
Yeah,
So
but
how can that be right?
Now, Fabio did have a point, and that's where I agree
No, he
with
didn't.
him.
No, he didn't. He had 2
No,
points.
hold on. Hear me out. He said it's up to Lewis, Max, and what I found the problem in this particular year was Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. There was a fight that at some point looked like it was personal. And that may have triggered a lot of calls to the race director as well. And if you got a weak guy on that particular spot, that's going to affect the whole season. And that started quite early in the season when they had a few run-ins. That fight only got worse. And then also as a race director, you have to have the power to put that fight to an end and say, okay, we're not going to have something like this.
Yeah, no, I understand his decision to try and get a racing lap in. I really understand that decision. I think that's consistent with what he's tried to do in the past. Remember at Belgium, right, where he put the safety car out in order to get a couple of laps under the safety car in to call it a race, right? I mean, that's the nature of this guy, right? So I understand that. What I don't understand is that having made a decision that having known in advance that he was going to try and do that and get a racing lap in, my problem is, why didn't he just say, okay, let's just stop it and get more racing laps in than just one? Right?
I agree.
And that I don't understand. But again, like Fabio said, and I want to end on agreement if possible. He's absolutely right. It is motorsport. This is not the first time. In '89, right, Senna managed to get back on the track and drive an incredible race to get up to third place in order to get enough points to win the championship. And the championship was later then taken away from him due to a technicality of getting a push start off the circuit. Right?
No. He cut the chicane. He didn't get a penalty.
Yes, you're
he
right.
didn't get a penalty for the push start. He get a penalty because
you're
he
right.
cut the chicane.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. He cut the chicane.
And
the point.
No, hold
on.
Hold on. The other thing was that other drivers had cut the chicane during the race and were not penalized.
Not interested. Okay, but the point being is that championship was decided in the courts later. Okay, and that, as far as I'm concerned, sent a terrible message to the rest of the world about Formula One, apparently, that it was all about the legality of it and it wasn't really a sport. And I think that is what has been hanging over Massey's decisions, having been told we don't want any repeat of that kind of thing. So, I find it extremely disappointing. But nonetheless, the result is the result it is. Max is a deserving champion because he's driven well, as I think we've all now said. So I think we can all get that. It's the way it happens that some of us are disappointed about, and another is not. Okay. Does that summarize everybody's position accurately or not?
Yes, and to be fair, I think one of the good things of a sport, no matter what sport you're looking at, is that you get three old guys arguing on a YouTube channel about who's right and who's a little bit more right. To me,
I'm not arguing. Don't look at me.
Hold on. To me,
I couldn't give two fucks about this whole argument.
To me, that's part of the fun. Seeing you and Simos going back and forth, and then I come in and manage to piss you off a little bit, Fabio. I mean, that's also
Peter,
part of the sport.
I honestly don't know what the fuck you've watched, because me and Simos, this episode, we never argued about that. So I don't know what the fuck you were watching. I stayed away from that thing on purpose, and we never. I don't feel we've argued about that.
No,
he said what he thinks. He said what he thinks. I say what I think. He doesn't agree. Fuck it.
But
so
there
is no argument about it.
But that is the great thing. We can have a conversation
it's
like
a great
this.
Thing.
He's being hyperbolic about it. He's just being hyperbolic. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, having a discussion. I think this is the diplomatic and correct way to put it. Three old guys having a discussion on a YouTube channel, which means jack shit compared to the fact that Max Verstappen has just become a multi-millionaire in one fucking fell swoop. Yeah, but there you go. I mean, good luck to him. As I say, I hope that the two things happen. This is my hope for next year. Firstly, that the cars are close, and that's cool. And secondly, maybe three things. Massey has either a clearer rule book laid out for him, or he makes it clear exactly how he's going to be adjudicating races in certain particular situations, so the team owners can at least make strategy based upon that. And then secondly, that the rules about overtaking and driving off track are clarified to the point where there's much harsher penalties for people that either force cars off track or have collisions or overtake off track. Again, what Lewis did in the fourth corner, was out of order as far as I was concerned. And I know you're saying that I don't complain about these things because if they're against Lewis, but I did think that was out of order, and he should have given the place back to Max, even though he was forced off track. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And I think if that had happened, we would have had a very different race, and possibly Lewis would have won instead of the race we had where they were just trying to take, or Toto was trying to take full advantage by saying to Michael Massey, no, we've just got to give him back the advantage. As long as we don't show him, then that's fair enough, isn't it? And then backing off to not even within a second, right? He never gave back more than a second. So, I mean, I never gave back less than a second. So, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy, that race. There were several mistakes made.
That in that instance, they were gambling on the fact that, you know, even if they give us 5 seconds, they want to go get 5 seconds on the track.
Yeah.
So again, you know, it's the Mercedes way of thinking. So.
Yeah, Heretic says a couple of things here. Stop thinking about what you're arguing about, just enjoying the layout. Fabius name, colour and background blends too much with the red Italian flag. I'm very glad you could say that. Ferrari's obviously flag. Senna's go for a gap line, I think that's supposed to say, to Jackie Stewart did nothing for F1. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I mean, it may be a truth, and it certainly was a truth back then, because there was a lot more of an edge, shall we say, to Formula One back then. In this modern era of safety, the cars being so safe, I think, like Villeneuve proved, you know, it's become much more carefree, and so the cars are much more likely to come together than they were back then. So when Senna said it, I don't think he meant it in the same way that the modern F1 drivers take it. Like, regardless of the risk, you put your car in there. I think Senna was saying it that if there is a racing chance to get by, you take it.
Yeah.
And if there isn't a racing chance, you don't.
If anything, he wanted to get across the line at the end.
Oh, he admitted to lied. Okay. He admitted he lied, apparently. Go for a gap. I think I don't think he lied in the respect of it was a lie, but if I remember the right line, Heretic, maybe Wolf. Sorry, it's Wolf, not Heretic, saying this. Senna's go for a gap. I think that he said something like, "Unless you go for a gap, you're not a Formula One driver anymore.
Yeah.
You may as well not be racing." That was the intent of it. And again, I think he's not talking about any gap. He's just talking about gaps which are possible to make, because that was the art of being a Formula One driver. There was a thin line between crashing and crashing and dying, and making an overtake. So I think it was a lot more calculated back then, whereas nowadays that line is a bit taken out of context, because it seems to be when they say a gap, they mean any kind of gap. It seems to be Max is lunging from a long way back these days on Lewis, and that's, you know, Lewis is a late breaker as it goes. So, you know, I just think that's slightly different, but nonetheless, that's how the kids have grown up. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. We're intending to have a season show next review next in January. Which I think is going to be quite crucial, because a lot has happened, and I think we'll probably be focusing a lot on some of these decisions that have been made throughout the year to show if they really are consistent decisions by Massey, whether we're being unfair to him or not, and also to show the consistency of driving between Lewis and Max. I think is an important thing as well. So I think that will be quite interesting. Anything you'd like to say, Peter?
No.
No, would you like to just sum up what your feelings are?
I mean, the season's over. We have a world championship, a world champion. There's nothing more to say. And as you said, if Lewis is triggered, he's on his best. So I'm looking forward to next season, because we're going to see next season what we saw in the last few months of this season. Someone who's actually really fighting to get up there, and that's how I want to see Lewis, and that's, I think, where he's at his best. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, those two drivers have been streaks ahead of the rest as well. So
Yeah.
it should be quite exciting to see if anybody else can get up there in the new cars. Fabio?
No. I'm just waiting for the new cars to show up. I think next year is going to be super interesting. This is going to be the first year where the basically all the teams will go under a massive development with simulators and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how much those tools actually comply with the reality of the track. That kind of car, they're going to be with those characteristics are going to be really difficult to set up on tracks, even tracks that we already know. So I think that might be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a lot more knife edge, right? Is that what you mean by difficult to set up? What do you mean by difficult to set up?
Because of the characteristics of the car, apparently there is going to be less drag. There's going to be, so it's a little bit early to say that, but there might be a bigger input on mechanical grip. So setup is going to be way more important now. I mean, the height of the car, the suspensions are set up, so that might be a little bit tricky. And also because of the fact that on the aero part, there are way less parameters that you can play with. So everyone is going to be, way more important than the other one.
Yeah, I mean, front to rear wing balance. The less you have, or less aero effect your wings have, the less easier it is to set up the aero balance. And the teams use aero balance a lot to change the characteristics of the car, in respect to tire wear and balance. Yeah. So it's going to be a much smaller window that they have to aim to keep the tires in the right temperature and also have the right balance. This is going to make experience in an F1 car and setting up an F1 car probably much more important than it has been.
Yeah, and also because the new tires are going to be way bigger. The outer diameter is going to be something like 720 millimeters compared to the 660, which are now. The suspension are going to work in a different way. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, good point. With the bigger tires and the smaller rims, then it's going to be harder to get those tires to stay in a window as well, of decent operating window.
Yeah, they're going to act
even more stress on the setup.
Yeah, they're going to act way less than they act now. I mean, basically right now, the tires are a major part of the suspension of the car, which it will be less the case next year. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, again, Lucky Wolfman saying Senna called Stewart and admitted he made it up and apologized for it. Yeah, I think, again, I don't know. I don't see why it's a lie. I think it's a lie in the way he said it. I think he said it for bravado. But I think the point remains the same, that, if you're a racing driver and if you see a gap and you fail to go for it, then of course you're not much of a racing driver, are you? No. Because it's a professional sport. So, I think the truth, regardless of whether he called Stewart and admitted that it was a lie. Again, lie? What does that even mean? I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that one, Lucky Wolf. So, I take it if you're talking about Senna's biography anyway, autobiography. So we'll have to look into that one. Maybe if you could, maybe if you could just reference a page number or something to one of us when you see us around, then that would be helpful. Lucky Wolf, 2022, clean slate, new cars. Let's hope so. Let's just cross our fingers and absolutely hope so, because it's been long overdue. Mercedes have had their way for far too long. And I think we'd all agree with that. British team or not. British or German, they've had their way far too long. So it's time now. We want a three-way battle, preferably, or a four-way battle. We want Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes to be up there. And I think that would give us a season that we could all really have some fun with.
So Simos, what is the final judgment? Is it a British or a German team?
It's a German team now,
Okay.
obviously. Obviously, fully German. I mean, I've got to say, I'm super impressed with the way Lewis handled it. If I was Lewis, I would have been real fucking pissed. But no, he didn't, and I just think that does wonders, absolutely wonders for his reputation in future years, and wonders for the sport itself. And I understand that there's a lot of heated noise behind the scenes, but for him to be the outward calm of that is extremely impressive. So I just want to say congratulations to Max for winning the World Championship, and congratulations to Lewis for being just the greatest person that's ever lived, including Jesus. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
Okay, Wolf says look for Peter Windsor interview with Stewart. Jackie Stewart. It's on YouTube. Okay, I will. Thank you very much for putting that in, Lucky. I'll go and listen to that. Thank you. I love Peter Windsor, by the way. Hello, Peter, if you're out there. Thank you very much. And okay, I think that's everything. Anything else to say, guys?
Nope.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll just give a World Championship ciao to Max Verstappen.
Yeah. Ciao.
Everybody?
Ciao.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming by. We look forward to seeing you in January.
Okay.
And we'll see you later. Take care.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.